Guys, the Raleigh Major just concluded, and it was absolute insanity. I was fortunate enough to be able to watch most of these matches, so I'm going to give you guys a quick rundown of what happened and some of my thoughts throughout. But we're going to just start off with a Swiss. We're going to go through each round and then into playoffs because it started off normal. If you look here in the 0-0 round, everything went completely as expected. The only question mark really was Space Station Ultimates. How would Space Station feel on land? Figured Ultimates were a land team and they would win, and they did. So all of this to be expected. I will say Secret did look good in this. So they caught my eye right here, and we'll talk more about them later. But Falcons absolute peaking. But we'll get into the 1-0 round immediately. Insanity. Carmine Corp versus the Ultimates. Ultimates peaking, playing so good, look way better than they did regionally. Carmine Corp didn't look at their best, but they didn't look bad. They still look great. They still look like three good players. I think at one point it was like maybe game 2 even. Chronic own gold, and Vitira laughed his head off at him, and that seemed like the turning point. And First Killer just started 1v3 in Carmine Corp. Insane, big upset. At this point, it starts getting crazier. But the rest of this, not too unexpected. This was a match to watch. Vitality, Furia, because it's always close. The rest of this, pretty expected, except for maybe Secret Wildcard, because we were still unsure about Secret, because Birmingham Major didn't go so well for this team. And Wildcard, not looking good. But let's get into the 2-0 round where people start qualifying and getting disqualified. We'll start here. Vitality qualified, now 3-0, beating NRG 3-1 here, and Furia and TSM over here. They look absolutely insane in Swiss, but they also looked good in Birmingham Swiss, so there's still questions. Falcons, though, looking way better than Birmingham. In Birmingham, they went round 5. This time, though, they didn't even drop they did drop one game, and it was to Team Secret over here in round 1. So round 3 here, Falcons and Vitality making it through. 1-1 round, KC down here, which is still just crazy. Secret taking them to round 5, to game 5. Secret looking so good, but ultimately KC winning that out. The rest of this, pretty expected, I would say. Wildcard losing to Virtus Pro, kind of insane. Not so insane. We know Virtus Pro is good, but it should definitely not be a sweep, at least. Wildcard down in the dumps, not looking good. Hopefully they pick it back up for Worlds. Space Station not really living up to expectations here, losing to Gentlemates, and Genji also losing to Dig. And Twisted Fury, a good match here. But let's get in round 4. This is where NRG qualify 3-1 over Twisted Minds. A close match here. Going to game 5. Was a good series. I would recommend going and watching that one. Both looking, well, I'd say Twisted Minds looked good here. NRG didn't look great, but they're just so good that it doesn't matter. They still qualify 3-1. Ultimates, I think they were up a game. They had won the first game. And game 2, I think they were up 3 goals or something with 10 seconds left and lost, which is insane. They just fell apart. Carmine Dignitas beating KC for the second time ever between the two of them. Dignitas looking so good. All 3 of them looking good. I was going to say Stizzy, but Stizzy just stands out to me because he's new to Major and LAN and being on a good team in general. So good for him there, which sends KC to round 5, which is insane. And we'll talk about this round 5 here. But round 4 in the lowers, Furia vs Pro, easy. Genji, Space Station, Genji's experience showing here. Secret TSM. Yeah, OCE just down and down under, right? Not looking good for them heading into Worlds and EWC. We'll see how it turns out for them. But round 5, absolutely the most insane round 5 I think I've ever seen. Secret beat Ultimates, which is a big upset. And Ultimates sure didn't look how they did when they faced KC over here. But they didn't look bad, right? Secret just looked that good. They deserved top 8 with who they played. I mean, if you look at who they played here, they went to 4 with Falcons, losing to them. Then they beat Wildcard. They lose to KC in 5, respectable loss. Then they beat TSM, and then they beat Ultimates, right? All it takes is one good upset, and throughout the whole Swiss, they look like they were going to have something like that. Now, the rest of these, Carmine Furia is an insane round 5 matchup because these are both like top 4 teams, right? So poor Furia, Sam number 1 not making it through, but Sam number 2 does make it through. Twisted, Gen G just not good enough. Twisted playing way better, honestly, than I thought they would. They didn't look very good regionally, in my opinion, but they've absolutely picked it up and found their stride. But that made this main event over here absolutely insane. As you'll see, we'll get to Falcons here. But lower round 1, the first day of playoffs, Carmine KC, the most insane series I've ever watched live. And I say live, I've missed a lot of series. But this was a reverse sweep. KC go up 3-0 versus Twisted Minds. And Twisted Minds find their form. Atomic, gotta shout him out. He started getting insane touches and assists for Nupo and Rise. And then game 7 Cinema, 2 seconds left. Rise slows down the play, passes it to Nupo, who gets an absolutely insane top bin shot to win the series and reverse sweep the tournament favorites by far. So absolutely insane from them to move on to top 6. Mina 2 looking very good. Gentlemate's Secret, the other upset of the day. If you didn't watch Saturday, you really missed out because, man, amazing series. Sam 2 upsetting EU4. I believe they're EU4. Yeah, they are. Insane. Mata and KV1 specifically looking connected, looking in form. Swift looked good as well, but just not quite the same level as his teammates. His teammates really, really carried. Gentlemates didn't look horrible. Eugen had some iffy moments, but he also had some really good moments. He had a pinch across the whole map for a goal in game 6. Wasn't enough. So looking good. Maybe need some more experience there. Seiko and Juicy was a little quiet. Seiko I think was fine, but Secret deserved that win again. Upper quarterfinals was also that Saturday, and just 2 4-0s. After we had 2 great matches, these were not that great. Falcons just peaking. A peaking Falcons is basically unstoppable. Dignitas just could not keep up. Vitality, Energy, pretty much the same story. Energy just couldn't get it together. I wouldn't say Vitality looked... Well, they did look amazing. They looked really good. They looked like they were going to head to the finals. But I would also say Energy were not connected. They were not creative, not looking good, which sent them down to the quarterfinals instead of the semifinals. So we'll get into those quarterfinals here, which happened today. We started off with an absolute banger of a series. Energy versus Twisted Minds. Energy not looking good in the beginning. They went down 3-1. Not looking connected, not looking creative, and Twisted Minds did look connected and creative. Atomic, again, I think the MVP of this team. He he is almost the catalyst of the team. I know Nupo has the insane shots, but Atomic sets up a lot of them. But in the end, Energy just has so much plot armor. They cannot lose outside of the top 4, and so they won't. They come back and they win in a Game 7 overtime with an insane pass from Atomic. Energy Atomic, not Twisted Minds Atomic. So Energy looking good there with some high hopes headed into the semifinals. But the quarterfinals for Dignitas Secret wasn't too close. Secret still didn't look as amazing as Swiss round 5 and this lower round 1 over here. But didn't look bad. But Dignitas on another level just destroyed them. Not too much to say there. Semifinals, Falcons versus NRG, game 6 was a good series. Pretty back and forth. I wish it had gone game 7. I think if it had went game 7, NRG would have won that. But Falcons, when they are online, and there is nothing you can do to stop it. The only team, I don't know, a peaking KC versus a peaking Falcons, I think would be the ultimate series. And we've kind of seen flashes of it last year when Rise was on KC, but the KC now versus the Falcons now, if they're both peaking, would be an insane series. But Vitality Dig, a lot of people were saying Vitality was going to win this, but before the series started, I think the desk pretty much just voted Vitality. But I mean, Dig has the win rate against them. I think they know how to beat this team. It's very matchup dependent, and Dignitas playstyle just absolutely destroys Vitality. They give no time to Zen in the air. They demo, and they're aggressive. And Vitality can't do anything about it every time. But that leaves us grand finals. Congratulations to the Falcons here. They looked too good. I'd say these games were close. The 4-1 doesn't necessarily do this justice, because Dignitas did look really good. They were playing really well. Joras especially was keeping them in those games. Dignitas actually won the first game, but Falcons, credit to them, they have gotten grand final experience like 3 times now. 3 times now. So twice before this, they've lost in the finals. But showing their experience, they're able to clutch it up, and they win by like 1 or 2 goals. They're close games, but they're just so suffocating. They play so aggressive. It is so hard to keep up with them if you are not playing perfect. And Dignitas were playing really good, but they weren't playing perfect. And so they could not keep up. So Falcons end up winning the whole thing. That is Mina's first major win, which is huge for the esport. Congratulations to them. Also, Mina was the winner of the 1v1 over here. You'll see Nupo versus Diaz. Nupo pretty much destroys Diaz. Diaz had a good game 1. After that, Nupo just ran away with it. Sorry, I should be saying Nobo. Nobo is how it's pronounced, apparently. But congrats to Nobo in the 1v1. He'll be facing Moxie at Worlds. And congrats to Falcons for winning the whole event, their first win. It's good to see TRK win after so many tries. But let me know your guys' thoughts on this event. Probably the most unexpected major we've had. It was amazing. And I will see you guys in the next video.